Maya Chen clutched her last homemade chocolate chip cookie as she watched the sad man on the park bench wipe tears from his eyes. She didn't know this stranger was Liam Dusk, CEO of Dusk Industries, worth over $50 million. She didn't know he was moments away from ending it all. She only knew he looked hungry and broken. What happened next would transform both their lives forever. But first, her simple act of kindness would save a man who had everything yet felt he had nothing. Before we carry on, please hit the subscribe button to make my day, and let me know where you are watching from in the comments. The autumn leaves danced through Riverside Park as 8-year-old Maya Chen skipped along the cobblestone path, her small hand wrapped around a paper bag containing her most precious possession. Inside lay the last chocolate chip cookie her grandmother had baked before passing away 3 months ago. Maya had been saving it, unable to bring herself to eat the final connection to her beloved Nai. Maya's worn sneakers, with holes that let in the morning dew, squeaked against the pavement as she made her way to her favorite spot by the old oak tree. Her mother, Elena, had sent her to the park while she made difficult phone calls to landlords and bill collectors. Maya understood more than her parents realized. She knew the eviction notice taped to their apartment door meant they might lose their home. She knew her father, David, worked 3 jobs, but still couldn't make enough money to keep them afloat. She knew her mother cried herself to sleep when she thought no one was listening. But Maya also knew something else. She knew that Nai had always taught her that sharing brought more joy than keeping, that kindness was the most valuable currency in the world, and that even the smallest gesture could change someone's entire day. As she approached her usual spot, Maya noticed someone sitting on the weathered wooden bench beneath the oak tree. A man in an expensive suit that had seen better days sat hunched over, his head buried in his hands. His shoulders shook with quiet sobs that he tried to muffle behind his palms. The sight made Maya's heart ache in a way she couldn't fully understand. Liam Dusk had been sitting on that bench for 2 hours, watching the sun climb higher in the sky while his world crumbled around him. At 42, he had built Dusk Industries from nothing into a technology empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He employed over 10,000 people across 15 countries. His face had graced the covers of Forbes and Fortune magazines. He owned homes in Manhattan, the Hamptons, and Malibu. His garage housed a collection of luxury cars that most people could only dream of seeing. Yet none of it mattered anymore. Not since his wife, Rebecca, had served him divorce papers the previous evening. Not since she had taken their twin daughters, Emma and Sophie, to her mother's house, telling them that Daddy needed some time alone. Not since he had realized that in his relentless pursuit of success, he had lost everything that truly mattered. The phone in his pocket had been buzzing constantly with calls from his assistant, his board members, and his investors. A crucial merger was falling apart because he couldn't focus. His stock price was plummeting because rumors of his personal problems had leaked to the financial press. His competitors were circling like vultures, ready to pick apart his empire piece by piece. But worse than the professional collapse was the personal devastation. He had spent so many years building his company that he had forgotten how to be a husband and father. He worked 18-hour days, missed school plays and soccer games, and even conducted business calls during family dinners. When Rebecca had finally confronted him about his absence from their lives, he had dismissed her concerns as trivial compared to the important work he was doing. Now, sitting alone on a park bench with his life in ruins, Liam wondered if anyone would even notice if he simply disappeared. The thought had been growing stronger over the past few days. He had even driven to the park that morning to say goodbye to the world, to find some peace before making his final decision. Maya studied the crying man from a distance, her young heart filled with compassion. She had never seen an adult cry so openly, so desperately. It reminded her of how she had felt when Nai had passed away, that overwhelming sadness that seemed to consume everything inside her chest. Without fully understanding why, Maya found herself walking toward the bench. Her small feet carried her closer to the stranger, each step guided by an instinct that went beyond her years. She stopped a few feet away from him, clutching her paper bag tighter. "Excuse me, mister," Maya said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam looked up, startled by the small voice. Through his tear-blurred vision, he saw a little girl with long black hair, tied in 2 braids, wearing a faded purple jacket that was too big for her small frame. Her dark eyes held a kindness that seemed impossible for someone so young. "Are you okay?" Maya asked, tilting her head to one side the way children do when they're genuinely curious about something. Liam wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, trying to compose himself. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just having a rough day." Maya nodded solemnly. "I have rough days too. My mama says they make the good days feel even better." Something about her simple wisdom made Liam's chest tighten. When was the last time someone had spoken to him without wanting something in return? When was the last time someone had shown him genuine concern without an ulterior motive? "That's very wise," Liam said, managing a weak smile. "Your mama sounds like a smart woman." "She is," Maya agreed, then paused, studying his face. "You look really sad, mister, and hungry too." Liam realized he hadn't eaten anything in over 24 hours. Food had been the last thing on his mind as his world fell apart. "I suppose I am a little hungry," he admitted. Maya's face brightened with an idea. She reached into her paper bag and pulled out the chocolate chip cookie, wrapped carefully in a white napkin. The cookie was perfectly round, golden brown with chocolate chips that still held their shape. It smelled like vanilla and love, like Saturday mornings and bedtime stories. "Here," Maya said, extending the cookie toward Liam. "Nai made this for me, but I think you need it more than I do." Liam stared at the offered cookie, his throat constricting with emotion. "Oh, sweetheart, I couldn't take your cookie. That's yours." "But you're sad and hungry," Maya insisted, stepping closer. "Nai always said that sharing food is sharing love, and everyone needs love, especially when they're crying." The simple generosity of the gesture hit Liam like a physical blow. Here was this child, clearly from a family of modest means, based on her worn clothing and patched sneakers, offering him what might be her only food. She was giving away something precious without asking for anything in return, without even knowing his name. "Are you sure?" Liam asked, his voice cracking. "This looks like a very special cookie." Maya nodded earnestly. "It is special. But that's why I want you to have it. Special things are meant to be shared with people who need them." With trembling hands, Liam accepted the cookie. The moment his fingers touched the napkin, he felt something shift inside his chest. The weight of his despair seemed to lighten just slightly, replaced by a warm sensation he hadn't felt in years. "Thank you," he whispered, his eyes filling with fresh tears. But these weren't tears of despair. They were tears of gratitude, of wonder at the unexpected kindness of a stranger. Maya smiled, a radiant expression that seemed to light up the entire park. "You're welcome, mister. I hope it makes you feel better." As Liam took a small bite of the cookie, the flavors exploded across his tongue. It was perfect, sweet and chewy, with just the right amount of chocolate. But more than that, it tasted like hope. It tasted like someone cared enough to share their most precious possession with a complete stranger. "This is the most delicious cookie I've ever had," Liam said, and he meant it. No five-star restaurant meal had ever tasted as good as this simple homemade treat given with pure love. Maya beamed with pride. "Nai was the best baker in the whole world. She taught me that the secret ingredient in everything is love." "Your Nai sounds like she was an amazing woman," Liam said. "She was," Maya agreed, her smile faltering slightly. "She went to heaven 3 months ago, but I still talk to her sometimes. I think she would have liked you." The innocence and wisdom in her words made Liam's heart ache in a completely different way. This child had experienced loss, real loss, yet she still chose to spread kindness. She still chose to share her love with strangers. "I'm sure I would have liked her too," Liam said softly. "Anyone who could raise someone as kind as you must have been very special." They sat together in comfortable silence for a few minutes, Liam savoring every bite of the cookie, while Maya watched the squirrels play in the trees above them. The sun had climbed higher, warming the cool autumn air, and casting dappled shadows through the colorful leaves. "I should probably go home," Maya said eventually. "Model will be worried if I'm gone too long." "Of course," Liam said, though he found himself reluctant to let this unexpected angel disappear from his life. "Thank you again for the cookie, Maya. You've given me something I didn't even know I needed." Maya paused, surprised. "How did you know my name? I didn't tell you." Liam realized his mistake. In his emotional state, he had somehow heard her name without her saying it. I'm sorry. I thought you mentioned it earlier." "That's okay," Maya said with a shrug. "I'm Maya Chen. What's your name, mister?" "Liam," he said, deciding to keep his last name to himself. "It's very nice to meet you, Maya Chen." "Nice to meet you too, Liam," Maya said, extending her small hand for a handshake. Her grip was firm and warm, and Liam found himself holding on a moment longer than necessary. As Maya began to walk away, Liam felt a desperate urge to follow her. This child had given him something precious, something that had pulled him back from the brink of his darkest thoughts. He needed to know more about her, needed to understand how someone so young could possess such wisdom and compassion. "Maya, wait!" Liam called out, standing up from the bench. She turned back, her head tilted inquisitively. "Yes, I'd like to walk you home, if that's okay. To make sure you get there safely." Maya considered this for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, but you have to promise you're not a stranger danger person. My mama taught me to be careful." "I promise I'm not a stranger danger person," Liam said solemnly. "I just want to make sure you get home safely." As they walked through the park together, Maya chattered about her favorite trees, the different birds she had learned to identify, and the stories her Nai used to tell her about the magical creatures that lived in the forest. Liam found himself genuinely listening, genuinely interested in her innocent observations about the world around them. "Do you have any kids, Liam?" Maya asked as they reached the park's exit. The question hit him like a punch to the gut. "I have 2 daughters," he said quietly. "Emma and Sophie. They're 7 years old." "Twins," Maya exclaimed. "That's so cool. Do they look exactly the same?" "They do," Liam said, his voice heavy with sadness. "But they have very different personalities. Emma loves to read, and Sophie loves to paint." "That sounds really nice," Maya said wistfully. "I always wanted a sister. Do you get to see them a lot?" The innocent question made Liam's chest tighten with shame. "Not as much as I should," he admitted. "I work a lot, and sometimes I forget that there are more important things than work." "Like what?" Maya asked, genuinely curious. "Like hugs," Liam said, surprising himself with the answer. "And bedtime stories, and helping with homework, and just being there." Maya nodded sagely. "My daddy works 3 jobs, but he still makes time to read to me every night. He says that's the most important part of his day." The simple statement made Liam realize how badly he had failed as a father. Dated Chen, working 3 jobs just to make ends meet, still prioritized his daughter's bedtime story. Meanwhile, Liam, with all his wealth and resources, had missed countless opportunities to connect with his own children. They walked through the quiet residential neighborhood, past small houses with well-tended gardens and children's bicycles in the driveways. The contrast to Liam's gated community was stark, but there was something warm and inviting about this area that his expensive neighborhood lacked. "That's my house," Maya said, pointing to a small yellow house with peeling paint and a front yard full of fallen leaves. "It's not very fancy, but it's home." Liam's heart sank as he noticed the bright orange eviction notice taped to the front door. So Maya's family was facing the same crisis that had driven him to the park that morning, but their version was far more immediate and devastating. While his problems were largely emotional and financial in abstract terms, the Chen family was about to lose their home. "Maya, is that?" Liam began, but stopped himself. He couldn't ask an 8-year-old about her family's financial troubles. "Oh, that's just some paperwork," Maya said dismissively, though her voice carried a note of worry that she was trying to hide. "Mama and Daddy are taking care of it." As they reached the front gate, the door opened and a woman emerged, clearly Maya's mother. Elena Chen was in her early 30s, with the same dark hair and kind eyes as her daughter. but her face was etched with stress and exhaustion. She was followed by a man who must be Maya's father, David, whose weathered hands and tired expression spoke of long hours and hard work. "Maya, there you are," Elena said, relief evident in her voice. I was starting to worry. Her eyes moved to Liam, taking in his expensive suit and polished shoes with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. "Mama, this is Liam," Maya announced cheerfully. He was sad in the park, so I gave him Nine-Eyes cookie and walked him around to cheer him up. Elena's eyes widened with a mixture of pride and concern. "Maya, you can't just give away your food to strangers, and you definitely can't walk around with people we don't know." "But he was crying, Mama," Maya said earnestly. "And he promised he wasn't a stranger danger person." David stepped forward, his posture protective but not aggressive. "I appreciate you walking Maya home, but we need to be careful about—" "I completely understand," Liam interrupted, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "You're absolutely right to be cautious. I'm sorry if I overstepped. Maya was just being incredibly kind to someone who really needed it today." There was something in Liam's voice, a genuine gratitude and respect, that made Elena's defensive posture soften slightly. "She has a big heart," Elena said. "Sometimes too big for her own good. The world needs more people like her," Liam said, his eyes moving between the parents and their daughter. "You've raised someone very special." David's expression softened as well. "She gets that from her grandmother, always trying to take care of everyone around her." "Maya mentioned her Nine-Eye," Liam said gently. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you," Helena said, her voice catching slightly. "She was the heart of our family." An uncomfortable silence fell over the group as Liam struggled with what to say next. He could see the eviction notice, could read the stress in their faces, could tell that this family was facing a crisis that threatened to tear their world apart. But he also knew that offering help to strangers was complicated, that his wealth and status created barriers that were difficult to navigate. "Well, I should let you get on with your day," Liam said finally. "Thank you again, Maya, for the cookie and the conversation. It meant more to me than you'll ever know." "You're welcome, Liam," Maya said, giving him another one of her radiant smiles. "I hope you feel better now." "I do," Liam said, and he realized it was true. The crushing despair that had brought him to the park that morning had lifted, replaced by something he hadn't felt in years: hope. As Liam walked away from the Chen family's house, his mind was racing. He couldn't stop thinking about Maya's simple act of kindness, about the way she had shared her most precious possession without hesitation. He couldn't stop thinking about her parents, clearly loving and devoted despite their financial struggles. He couldn't stop thinking about how different his life might have been if he had learned Maya's lessons about what truly mattered. By the time he reached his car, parked several blocks away, Liam had made a decision. He pulled out his phone and, for the first time in days, answered when his assistant called. "Liam, thank God." Margaret's voice came through the speaker, filled with relief and exasperation. "Where have you been? The board is going crazy, the merger is falling apart, and the stock price is... Margaret, I need you to do something for me." Liam interrupted, his voice steady and clear for the first time in days. "Of course, what do you need?" "I need you to find out everything you can about a family named Chen, David and Elena Chen, with a daughter named Maya. They live at 1742 Maple Street. I need to know about their financial situation, their eviction proceedings, everything." "Liam, what is this about?" "We have a crisis to deal with here." "This is more important than the crisis," Liam said, surprising himself with the conviction in his voice. "The merger can wait. The board can wait. Everything can wait until I take care of this." "I don't understand. Who are these people?" Liam looked back toward the small yellow house where Maya lived, where a family was facing the loss of their home while still managing to raise a daughter whose kindness had saved his life. "They're the reason I'm still here," Liam said quietly. "Just do this for me, Margaret. Please." After hanging up, Liam sat in his car for a long time, thinking about the events of the morning. Maya's cookie still sat warm in his stomach, but more than that, her kindness had warmed something inside his heart that had been cold for far too long. She had given him a gift beyond measure, and now he needed to find a way to give something back. But as he drove home to his empty Dasha mansion, Liam realized that what Maya had given him was more than just a cookie or a moment of kindness. She had given him a new perspective on what success really meant. She had shown him that the most valuable things in life couldn't be bought or sold, couldn't be measured in stock prices or profit margins. That evening, as Liam sat in his study, surrounded by the trappings of his success, he found himself thinking about Maya's words. The secret ingredient in everything is love. How long had it been since he had put love into anything he did? How long had it been since he had chosen connection over achievement, relationship over recognition? His phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "Girls are asking about you. Emma wants to know if you're coming to her school play tomorrow." Liam stared at the message for a long time. Emma's school play. He had forgotten all about it, had probably put it in his calendar and then ignored it when more pressing business matters arose. But now, thinking about Maya's unconditional love for her parents despite their struggles, he felt a deep shame about his priorities. He texted back, "I'll be there. Front row." Then he put his phone aside and opened his laptop. But instead of checking his email or reviewing merger documents, he began researching something else entirely. He researched children's charities, family assistance programs, and organizations that helped families facing eviction. He read about the systemic issues that kept hardworking families like the Chens on the edge of financial disaster, despite their best efforts. The next morning, Margaret called with the information he had requested. The Chen family's situation was even more dire than he had imagined. David worked as a janitor at the local hospital, a cook at a diner, and did odd jobs on weekends. Elena worked part-time at a grocery store, while also caring for her elderly mother-in-law, who had expensive medical needs. Despite their combined efforts, they were 3 months behind on rent and facing eviction within the week. "Their credit is destroyed," Margaret reported. "No one will rent to them. They're looking at homeless shelters." The thought of Maya, with her bright smile and generous heart, sleeping in a homeless shelter made Liam feel physically sick. This was wrong on every level. This family, who had raised a daughter capable of such selfless kindness, deserved so much better. "I need you to do something else for me," Liam told Margaret. "I need you to find them a house. A nice house, in a good neighborhood, with good schools. I want to buy it for them." "Liam, that's very generous, but you can't just buy a house for people you don't know. There are legal issues, tax implications." "I don't care about the legal issues or the tax implications," Liam said firmly. "Figure it out. I want this done by the end of the week." "But how will you explain this to them? You can't just hand someone a house without—" "I'll figure that out," Liam said. "Just find the house." After Margaret reluctantly agreed to begin the search, Liam spent the day doing something he hadn't done in years. He thought about someone other than himself. He attended Emma's school play, sitting in the front row as promised, and feeling his heart swell with pride as his daughter delivered her lines with confidence and joy. After the performance, Emma ran to him with tears of happiness in her eyes. "Daddy, you came! You really came! I wouldn't miss it for the world," Liam said, lifting her into his arms and realizing that for the first time in months, he was telling the complete truth. Sophie was equally excited to see him, chattering about her latest painting and asking if he wanted to see her art portfolio. For the first time in years, Liam said yes, and he spent the evening looking at his daughter's artwork with genuine attention and, quote, appreciation. "These are incredible, Sophie," he said, studying a watercolor painting of the sunset over a lake. "You have real talent." "Do you really think so, Daddy?" Sophie asked, her eyes shining with hope. "I absolutely do," Liam said, and he meant it. When was the last time he had really looked at his daughter's work, really listened to their hopes and dreams? That night, after putting the girls to bed with stories and songs, Liam sat down with Rebecca. The conversation was difficult, filled with years of hurt and resentment. But for the first time, Liam listened without defending himself. He heard how his absence had affected not just his marriage, but his daughter's sense of security and worth. "I know I've been a terrible husband and father," Liam said quietly. "I thought I was providing for you by building the company. but I was really just running away from the things that mattered most. What changed? Rebecca asked, her voice cautious but hopeful. Liam told her about Maya, about the cookie, about the simple act of kindness that had pulled him back from the brink. He told her about the Chen family, about their struggles and their strength, about how an 8-year-old girl had taught him more about success than all his business school professors combined. "I want to be the man you married again," Liam said. "I want to be the father our daughters deserve. I don't know if it's too late, but I want to try." Rebecca was quiet for a long time, studying his face for signs of sincerity. "It's not too late," she said finally, "but it will take time. Real time, not just promises." "I understand," Liam said. "I'm ready to do the work." Over the next few days, Liam threw himself into the project of helping the Chen family with the same intensity he had once reserved for corporate takeovers. Margaret found a beautiful 4-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood with, quote, "excellent schools," just 2 miles from Maya's current location. The house had a large backyard with fruit trees, a modern kitchen, and plenty of space for a growing family. But the logistics of gifting a house to strangers proved more complicated than even Liam had anticipated. Direct cash gifts of that magnitude triggered tax implications for the recipients. Anonymous donations were legally problematic. Traditional charitable channels didn't cover individual home purchases. Finally, Liam decided on a more personal approach. He would visit the Chen family again, explain who he was, and ask for their permission to help. It was risky, potentially embarrassing for everyone involved, but it was the only way to ensure the help was offered and received with dignity. On Thursday evening, Liam stood on the Chen family's front porch, holding a manila envelope with documents that could change their lives forever. The eviction notice was still taped to the door, now joined by additional legal papers that painted a picture of a family's desperate struggle. Elena answered the door, her face showing surprise and concern at seeing him again. "Liam, is everything okay?" "I'm fine," Liam said. "I was wondering if I could speak with you and your husband about Maya and about some things I'd like to discuss with your family." Elena hesitated, clearly uncertain about inviting this well-dressed stranger into her home. "David is just putting Maya to bed. Maybe this isn't the best time." "Mama, is that Liam?" Maya's voice called from inside the house. "Can he come in? I want to show him my drawings." Elena's expression softened at her daughter's enthusiasm. "Come in," she said, stepping aside, "but just for a few minutes." The inside of the Chen house was small but immaculately clean, filled with family photos, Maya's artwork, and the lingering scent of home-cooked meals. Despite the modest furnishings, there was a warmth and love in the space that Liam's mansion had never possessed. Maya came running down the hallway in her pajamas, her face lighting up when she saw him. "Liam, you came back! Did you want another cookie?" "I don't have any more of Nine Eyes, but Mama made some oatmeal ones today." "I'm fine, sweetheart," Liam said, kneeling down to her level. "I actually came to talk to your parents about something important." David emerged from the hallway, his expression wary but polite. "Mr. Liam, nice to see you again. Maya's been talking about you non-stop since the other day." "I can imagine," Liam said, standing up. "Maya has quite an impact on people." "She does," Elena agreed, her hand resting protectively on her daughter's shoulder. "What did you want to discuss?" Liam took a deep breath, knowing that the next few minutes would either change everything or make everything more complicated. "I need to tell you something about myself first. My full name is Liam Dusk. I'm the CEO of Dusk Industries." David's eyes widened in recognition. "Dusk Industries? The technology company?" "Yes," Liam said. "I'm sure this seems strange, a CEO showing up at your door. But I need you to understand that when Maya gave me that cookie in the park, she saved my life. I was in a very dark place, and her kindness pulled me back from making a terrible decision." Elena and David exchanged a look, clearly processing this information. "We're glad Maya could help," Elena said carefully. "But I'm not sure why you're telling us this." "Because I want to help your family in return," Liam said. "I know about the eviction notice. I know about your financial struggles, and I want to do something about it." The room fell silent except for the tick of an old clock on the mantelpiece. Maya looked between the adults, sensing the tension, but not understanding its source. "We appreciate the thought," David said finally, his voice stiff with pride. "But we don't take charity." "This isn't charity," Liam said quickly. "This is me trying to repay a debt. Maya gave me something invaluable, and I want to give something back to her family." "What kind of something?" Elena asked, her voice cautious. Liam opened the manila envelope and pulled out a set of house keys and a folder of documents. "I'd like to give you a house. A real house. In your name, with no mortgage, no rent, no strings attached." The silence that followed was deafening. Maya looked at the keys with curiosity, but her parents stared at them as if they were dangerous. "You can't give us a house," David said, his voice barely above a whisper. "People don't just give other people houses. They do when they have the means and the motivation," Liam said. "I have both. Maya's act of kindness changed my life, potentially saved my life. Let me change yours in return." "This is too much," Elena said, shaking her head. "We barely know you. You don't know us. You can't just—" "I know that you raised a daughter who shares her last cookie with a crying stranger," Liam interrupted. "I know that you're both working multiple jobs trying to provide for your family. I know that despite facing eviction, you've created a home full of love and warmth. I know that Maya talks about her parents with such pride and affection that it's clear you're doing everything right." Tears began to form in Elena's eyes. "But we haven't done everything right. We're losing our home. We're failing our daughter." "You're not failing anyone," Liam said firmly. "You're facing a system that makes it nearly impossible for good people to get ahead. You're dealing with circumstances beyond your control. But your daughter is evidence of your success as parents. She's kind, generous, wise, and loving. Those qualities don't come from houses or money. They come from the values you've instilled in her." Maya tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mama, what's a house?" Elena knelt down to her daughter's level. "A house is where a family lives, sweetheart, like our house here." "But we have to leave our house," Maya said matter-of-factly. "You and Daddy said so." The simple statement broke Elena's composure. Tears began to stream down her cheeks as she realized that her 8-year-old daughter understood far more about their situation than they had hoped. "We're trying to find a new place to live," Elena said softly. "It's just taking some time." Maya looked at the keys in Liam's hand, then back at her mother. "Is Liam trying to give us a new house so we don't have to live in the car?" The innocent question made David's face crumble. The idea that his daughter was worried about living in a car, that she had been carrying this fear while trying to cheer up strangers in the park, was almost unbearable. "Maya, we're not going to live in the car," David said, his voice thick with emotion. "We'll figure something out. But if Liam has an extra house, and we need a house, maybe we could use his extra one?" Maya asked with the simple logic of childhood. Liam felt his heart break at the child's innocent reasoning. "That's exactly right, Maya. I have an extra house, and you need a house. It makes perfect sense." "You see?" Maya said, looking at her parents with satisfaction. "It's like sharing the cookie. Liam needs a house to share, and we need a house to live in. It's perfect." Elena and David looked at each other, having an entire conversation with their eyes. Liam could see the war between pride and desperation, between the desire to provide for their daughter and the difficulty of accepting such an enormous gift from a stranger. "Can we see it?" Elena asked finally. "The house, I mean." "Of course," Liam said, relief flooding through him. "We can go right now if you'd like." 20 minutes later, they were all piled into Liam's luxury SUV, driving through the quiet streets toward the house Margaret had found. Maya chattered excitedly about the adventure, while her parents sat in stunned silence, trying to process what was happening to their lives. The house was even more beautiful than the photographs had suggested. It sat on a corner lot, with mature trees and a well-maintained lawn. The exterior was painted a warm cream color with forest green shutters, and a wide front porch invited visitors to sit and stay a while. "It's beautiful," Elena whispered as they pulled into the driveway. "Can we go inside?" Maya asked, already unbuckling her seatbelt. "Of course," Liam said, handing David the keys. "It's your house now." David held the keys as if they might burn his fingers. I still don't understand how this works. There must be a catch, some kind of payment plan or… No catch, Liam said. No payments. The house is yours, free and clear. The deed is already being transferred to your names. They walked through the house together, Maya running from room to room with excitement, while their parents followed in amazement. The kitchen was spacious and modern, with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. The living room had large windows that let in plenty of natural light. There were 4 bedrooms, including one that would be perfect for Maya, with built-in bookshelves and a window seat overlooking the backyard. This bedroom is perfect for you, Maya, Liam said, watching the little girl spin in circles in the middle of the room. I can put all my books here, Maya exclaimed, running to the built-in shelves. And my art supplies. And look, Mama, I can see the whole backyard from the window. Elena stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face as she watched her daughter's joy. Maya, sweetheart, we need to talk about this more. This is a very big decision. But it's perfect, Mama, Maya said, her eyes shining with excitement. And Liam said it's ours. That means we don't have to worry about the eviction papers anymore, right? David appeared in the doorway, his face a mixture of wonder and concern. The backyard is incredible. There's a swing set and fruit trees, and the neighbors seem friendly. He paused, looking at Liam. But I still don't understand why you're doing this. This house must be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. $450,000 to be exact, Liam said. And I'm doing it because your daughter gave me something worth far more than money. She gave me hope when I had none, kindness when I felt unworthy of it, and perspective when I had lost sight of what really mattered. They spent another hour exploring the house, Maya claiming every room with the enthusiasm only a child could muster. She decided the kitchen would be perfect for helping her mama cook. The living room would be ideal for family movie nights, and the dining room would be where they could have proper dinner conversations like the families on television. As they prepared to leave, Elena pulled Liam aside while Maya and David examined the garage. I need you to understand something, she said quietly. We've never taken handouts. David works himself to the bone trying to provide for us. This feels like we're giving up, like we're admitting we can't take care of our own family. You're not giving up, Liam said. Gently. You're accepting help. There's a difference. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let someone else carry part of the burden. But why us? There are thousands of families in similar situations. Why did you choose to help us? Liam considered the question carefully. Because Maya chose to help me. She didn't know who I was or what I could do for her. She just saw someone who needed kindness, and she gave it freely. That kind of pure generosity is rare in this world. It deserves to be honored. Elena was quiet for a long moment, looking through the window at Maya, who was now spinning in circles on the back lawn, her arms outstretched as if she could embrace the entire world. If we accept this, Elena said finally, how do we teach her that life isn't always this generous? How do we prepare her for a world where not every act of kindness is rewarded with a house? You teach her what you've already taught her, Liam said. That kindness is its own reward. That sharing is more important than keeping. That love is the secret ingredient in everything. Those lessons will serve her far better than any house ever could. Over the next week, the Chen family made the transition to their new home with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. Maya adapted immediately, treating the move as the greatest adventure of her young life. She helped pack their belongings, labeled boxes with careful printing, and made sure her most treasured possessions, including a photo of her Nai, were handled with special care. David and Elena struggled more with the emotional adjustment. Despite Liam's assurances, they both felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the gift. David worried about the tax implications, about what people would think, about whether accepting help made him less of a provider. Elena worried about Maya developing unrealistic expectations about life, about the family becoming dependent on charity, about the strings that might be attached to such generosity. But as they settled into their new routine, those worries began to fade. Maya's bedroom became a sanctuary of books and art supplies, exactly as she had envisioned. The kitchen became the heart of the home, where Elena could cook without worrying about broken appliances or inadequate space. David finally had a garage where he could tinker with repairs and pray projects, something he hadn't been able to do in years. More importantly, the stress that had been suffocating their family began to lift. Without the constant worry about rent and eviction, David was able to reduce his workload from 3 jobs to 2. Elena could spend more time with Maya, helping with homework and bedtime stories without the distraction of financial panic. Liam visited the family regularly, always bringing small gifts and genuine interest in their lives. He helped Maya set up her bookshelf, taught David about some home maintenance tasks, and listened to Elena's stories about her mother-in-law's improving health. The relationship evolved from benefactor and recipients to something more like extended family. During one of these visits, Maya made an announcement that surprised everyone. "Liam, I've been thinking," she said, looking up from the drawing she was working on at the kitchen table. "You said I saved your life with the cookie, right?" "That's right," Liam said, settling into the chair beside her. "Well, if I saved one person's life, maybe I could save more people's lives. Maybe I could help lots of people who are sad like you were." Elena and David exchanged glances across the kitchen. Their daughter's generous heart was already expanding beyond their family's good fortune. "That's a beautiful thought, Maya," Liam said carefully. "What did you have in mind?" "I want to make more cookies," Maya announced. "Lots and lots of cookies. And give them to people who look sad. Maybe if everyone had cookies, everyone would be happier." The simple logic of her plan made the adults smile, but Liam saw something deeper in her words. Maya had learned that small acts of kindness could have enormous impacts, and she wanted to multiply that effect. "You know what, Maya?" Liam said, his voice taking on the tone he used when making important business decisions. "I think that's an excellent idea. But maybe we could think bigger than just cookies." "Bigger how?" Maya asked, her eyes lighting up with curiosity. "Well, what if we started something that could help lots of families like yours? Families who are good people but just need a little help to get back on their feet? Like a cookie store, but for helping people?" Maya asked. "Exactly like that," Liam said, grinning at her interpretation. "We could call it the Maya Chen Foundation. It would help families who are facing eviction, or kids who need school supplies, or grandparents who need medical care." Maya's eyes grew wide with excitement. "And we could give them cookies too?" "Absolutely," Liam agreed. "We could give them cookies too." That conversation marked the beginning of something much larger than any of them had anticipated. Within a month, Liam had established the Maya Chen Foundation for family support with an initial endowment of $10 million. The foundation's mission was simple: to provide immediate, practical assistance to families facing financial emergencies. With a focus on preserving family stability and dignity, the foundation's first office was set up in a renovated building downtown, with a staff of social workers, financial counselors, and case managers. But Maya insisted on being involved in the planning, contributing her 8-year-old perspective on what families really needed. "People need food," she announced during one planning meeting, sitting at the conference table with a stack of coloring books and crayons. "And hugs. But you can't really give hugs through a foundation, so maybe we should give really good food." Her comment led to the foundation's first program, a partnership with local restaurants and grocery stores to provide fresh, healthy meals to families in crisis. But Maya's influence went beyond program development. Her story, her picture, and her words became the foundation's most powerful fundraising tools. Local media picked up the story of the little girl who had saved a CEO's life with a cookie and inspired him to start a foundation. The story resonated with people across the country, leading to donations from individuals, corporations, and other foundations. Within 6 months, the Maya Chen Foundation had helped over 200 families avoid eviction, provided emergency medical assistance to dozens of elderly residents, and created a scholarship program for children from low-income families. But the foundation's impact went beyond the families it served directly. Maya's story inspired other acts of kindness throughout the community. Children at her new school started bringing extra snacks to share with classmates who couldn't afford lunch. Parents organized neighborhood support networks to help each other during difficult times. local businesses began offering job training programs and emergency assistance to their employees. Maya herself remained remarkably unchanged by all the attention. She continued to attend school, help her mother with household chores, and draw pictures that she proudly displayed on the refrigerator. But she also began to understand that her simple act of sharing a cookie had created ripples that extended far beyond what she could have imagined. "Mama," she said one evening as Elena tucked her into bed, "do you think Nine knows about the foundation?" "I think she does, sweetheart," Elena said, smoothing Maya's hair. "I think she's very proud of you." "I hope so," Maya said sleepily. "I just did what she taught me. Share what you have and love everyone." Those words became the official motto of the Maya Chen Foundation, printed on letterhead and carved into a plaque in the lobby of their office building. Meanwhile, Liam's personal life underwent its own transformation. The crisis that had driven him to the park that morning seemed like a distant memory, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and connection. His relationship with Rebecca slowly healed as he demonstrated through actions, not just words, that his priorities had fundamentally shifted. He began leaving the office at reasonable hours, attending Emma and Sophie's school events, and taking family vacations without his laptop or phone. He discovered that his daughters had inherited their mother's quick wit and their own unique talents that he had been too busy to notice before. Emma, it turned out, was a gifted writer with imagination that created entire worlds of adventure and magic. Sophie's artistic abilities extended beyond painting to sculpture and even jewelry design. For the first time, Liam felt like he truly knew his daughters as individuals, not just as extensions of his family obligations. "Daddy," Emma said one day as they walked through the park where he had first met Maya, "Sophie and I want to do something for the foundation." "What did you have in mind?" Liam asked, curious about what his 7-year-old daughters might contribute. "We want to have a art show," Sophie announced. "I'll make paintings, and Emma will write stories, and we'll sell them to raise money for Maya's foundation." The idea of his daughters organizing their own fundraiser filled Liam with pride. They had absorbed the lesson of Maya's generosity and wanted to find their own way to contribute to something larger than themselves. "I think that's a wonderful idea," Liam said. "How can I help?" "We need a place to have the show," Emma said practically. "And we need people to come and buy our art and stories." Within a week, Liam had arranged for the girls to use a gallery space downtown for their art show. Emma wrote and illustrated a series of short stories about kindness and friendship, while Sophie created a collection of paintings inspired by acts of generosity she had witnessed or imagined. The opening night of the Little Artists for Big Hearts show drew a crowd of family friends, business associates, and foundation supporters. Emma read her stories aloud, with confidence and enthusiasm, while Sophie explained the inspiration behind each of her paintings. Maya and her parents attended as honored guests, and Maya was particularly taken with one of Sophie's paintings that showed a little girl sharing a cookie with a sad man on a park bench. "That's us!" Maya exclaimed, pointing at the painting. "That's me and Liam in the park. I painted it from Daddy's description," Sophie explained proudly. He said it was the most important moment of his whole life. The art show raised over $15,000 for the foundation, but more importantly, it demonstrated how Maya's simple act of kindness continued to inspire others to find their own ways of getting back. As the first anniversary of their meeting approached, Liam reflected on how much had changed in his life. The merger that had seemed so crucial a year ago had ultimately fallen through, but his company had recovered and was stronger than ever. More importantly, he had learned to delegate responsibilities and trust his team, allowing him to maintain a healthier work-life balance. The Maya Chen Foundation had grown beyond his wildest expectations, helping over 800 families and inspiring similar organizations in other cities. Maya herself had become something of a local celebrity, speaking at school assemblies and community events about the power of kindness. But perhaps the most significant change was in Liam's understanding of success itself. He had learned that true wealth couldn't be measured in dollars or stock prices, but in relationships, in the positive impact you had on others' lives, and in the love you gave and received. On the anniversary of their first meeting, Liam arranged a special celebration in the park where it all began. The Chen family, his own family, foundation staff, and community members gathered around the bench where Maya had first offered her cookie. Maya, now 9 years old and even more articulate than before, stood up to address the small crowd. "A year ago, I gave my last cookie to a stranger because he looked sad and hungry," she began, her voice clear and confident. "I didn't know that stranger would become like family to us. I didn't know that one cookie would turn into a whole foundation that helps lots of families. I just knew that Nai always taught me to share what I have with people who need it." Ah. She paused, looking around at the faces gathered to celebrate their story. "But I learned something important this year. When you give something away, you don't lose it, you multiply it. My cookie became hundreds of meals for hungry families. My kindness became thousands of acts of kindness from other people. My love became a whole community of people who care about each other." The crowd was silent, moved by the wisdom of this young girl who had inadvertently changed so many lives. So, if you have something to share, even if it's your last cookie, share it anyway. You never know what amazing things might happen. As applause filled the park, Liam looked around at the faces of the people Maya had touched, directly and indirectly. There was Elena, beaming with pride at her daughter's poise and wisdom. There was David, no longer worried about providing for his family, but instead focused on being present for them. There were Emma and Sophie, learning from Maya's example that even children could make a difference in the world. But perhaps most importantly, there was Maya herself, still the same generous, loving child who had shared her cookie with a stranger, but now aware of the power she possessed to change the world through simple acts of kindness. The celebration continued late into the evening, with families sharing stories, children playing together, and adults marveling at how one child's generosity had created such a ripple effect of positive change. As the sun set over the park, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink that reminded Liam of the chocolate chips in Maya's cookie, he realized that this was what success really looked like. Not a corner office or a stock portfolio, but a community of people connected by love, generosity, and mutual support. Maya ran up to him as the evening wound down, her face flushed with excitement from playing with the other children. "Liam," she said, slightly out of breath, "I have something for you." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small wrapped package. Inside was a single chocolate chip cookie, clearly homemade and still warm. "I made this for you," she said with a grin. "It's not my last cookie this time, because Mama and I made a whole batch. But it's still special because it's made with love." Liam accepted the cookie with the same reverence he had felt a year ago, but this time the tears in his eyes were purely tears of joy. As he took a bite, he was transported back to that moment on the bench, when a little girl's kindness had saved his life and set him on a path toward true happiness. "Thank you, Maya," he said softly. "For everything." "You're welcome," she replied, then added with the matter-of-fact wisdom that had become her trademark, "But you don't need to thank me. That's what families do for each other." And as Liam looked around at the people gathered in the park, people connected not by blood, but by shared experiences of giving and receiving kindness, he realized that Maya was absolutely right. They had become a family, in the truest sense of the word. The Maya Chen Foundation continued to grow and evolve over the following months, expanding its programs and reach while never losing sight of its core mission, helping families in crisis while preserving their dignity and, quote, strength. Maya remained actively involved, though her parents and Liam were careful to ensure that her childhood remained as normal as possible, despite the attention her story had generated. The foundation established a scholarship program that covered not just tuition, but also living expenses for students from low-income families, removing the barriers that often force promising young people to choose between education and supporting their families. They created a job training center that partnered with local businesses to provide real pathways to sustainable employment. They expanded their emergency assistance program to include not just eviction prevention, but also medical debt relief, car repairs that enable people to get to work, and other practical interventions that could prevent temporary setbacks from becoming permanent crises. But perhaps the most innovative program was Maya's own idea, the Community Cookie Project. Every month, families who had been helped by the foundation were invited to participate in a community baking event, where they prepared hundreds of cookies, sandwiches, and other simple foods to distribute to homeless individuals, elderly neighbors, and anyone else who might need a meal or just a kind gesture. "It's like my first cookie, but bigger," Maya explained to a reporter who was writing a feature story about the foundation's first-year impact. "Everyone gets to share something, and everyone gets to feel good about helping." The Community Cookie Project became one of the foundation's most popular programs, not because of its scale or budget, but because it embodied the spirit of Maya's original gesture. It reminded everyone involved that giving and receiving were part of the same cycle, that today's helper might be tomorrow's person in need, and that dignity was preserved when everyone had something to contribute. Liam's business empire, meanwhile, had undergone its own transformation. Inspired by Maya's lesson about the importance of love as a secret ingredient, he had restructured Dusk Industries to prioritize employee well-being, community impact, and sustainable practices alongside BAS. Profitability. The company established its own foundation, focused on educational technology for underserved communities, and every employee was given paid time off to volunteer for causes they cared about. The changes weren't just philosophical. Employee satisfaction scores reached all-time highs, productivity increased significantly, and the company's reputation attracted top talent who wanted to work for an organization that aligned with their DA values. Stock prices, rather than suffering from the increased focus on social responsibility, actually rose as investors recognized the long-term value of a company built on sustainable, ethical practices. "It turns out that doing good is also good business," Liam told a gathering of other CEOs who were interested in replicating his model. "But more importantly, it's good for the soul. I used to measure success by profit margins and market share. Now I measure it by the positive impact we have on our employees, our communities, and the world." The presentation was met with interest from some executives and skepticism from others, but Liam no longer felt the need to convince everyone of his approach. He had found a way of working that honored both his business responsibilities and his personal values, and the results spoke for themselves. Rebecca noticed the changes in Liam long before the business metrics improved. The man who had once brought his laptop to family dinners was now fully present during their time together. He asked thoughtful questions about Emma and Sophie's days, remembered important details about their friends and activities, and created new family traditions that prioritized connection over achievement. "Remember when you used to check your phone during bedtime stories?" Rebecca asked one evening as they watched Liam help Emma with a particularly challenging homework assignment. "I'm ashamed that I ever did that," Liam admitted. "I thought I was missing something important at work, but I was actually missing the most important things right here at home." Their relationship had healed slowly but completely, built on new foundations of communication, mutual respect, and shared priorities. They had renewed their wedding vows in a small ceremony in the park, where Liam had met Maya, with the Chen family and the foundation staff as their witnesses. Emma and Sophie served as flower girls, and Maya gave a short speech about how love was like cookies, better when shared. As the second anniversary of the cookie incident approached, Liam began planning a special surprise for Maya. He had been working with architects and city planners to design a new community center that would house the foundation's programs, provide meeting spaces for neighborhood organizations, and include a commercial kitchen where the Community Cookie Project could expand its operations. But the centerpiece of the building would be something specifically for Maya, a children's library with reading nooks, art stations, and a small stage where young people could share their stories and creativity with others. The library would be named the Nai Nai Reading Room, honoring the grandmother whose wisdom had shaped Maya's generous heart. The surprise was revealed at the anniversary celebration, held once again in the park, but this time with over 300 attendees. When Maya saw the architectural plans and understood what was being proposed, she was speechless for one of the few times in her life. "You're building a library? For kids? With my Nai Nai's name on it?" she finally managed to ask, her eyes wide with wonder. "We're building it together," Liam corrected gently. "You'll help design the children's areas, choose the books we'll stock, and decide how the space should be used. This is your vision as much as mine." Maya threw her arms around Liam in a hug that conveyed more gratitude than words ever could. But then she stepped back, her expression thoughtful. "Can we make sure there's a kitchen in the library too?" she asked. "Because sometimes people are hungry when they're reading, and sharing food makes stories even better." The request was added to the architectural plans immediately, and the Nai reading room was redesigned to include a small kitchen where children and families could prepare simple snacks to share while enjoying books and ball programs together. Construction began that fall, with Maya serving as an enthusiastic, if unofficial, project supervisor. She visited the site regularly, wearing a hard hat decorated with rainbow stickers, and asking detailed questions about everything from the color of the walls to the height of the bookshelves. "The chairs need to be comfortable for kids, but also for grown-ups," she instructed the interior designer. "Because sometimes parents want to read with their kids, and sometimes grandparents come too." Her attention to detail and intuitive understanding of what would make the space welcoming and functional impressed everyone involved in the project. Maya had grown from a generous child into a thoughtful young leader, but she retained the essential kindness and wisdom that had started everything. The library opened on Maya's 10th birthday, with a ribbon-cutting ceremony that drew local officials, foundation supporters, and dozens of families from the community. Maya had insisted that the first book read in the new space should be a story she had written herself, a tale about a little girl who discovers that sharing her treasures with others creates magic in the world. As she stood at the small podium in the children's area, surrounded by books and art supplies, and the warm glow of carefully designed lighting, Maya looked out at the faces of people who had become her extended family through shared experiences of giving and receiving kindness. 3 years ago, I gave my last cookie to a stranger because my Nai taught me that sharing is caring, she began, her voice clear and confident. I never imagined that one cookie would lead to all of this. But Nai also taught me that love grows when you give it away, and that's exactly what happened. She paused, looking directly at Liam, who was sitting in the front row with tears of pride in his eyes. Liam was sad when I met him, but now he's happy. My family was worried about our home, but now we're secure. I was just one little girl with one cookie, but now we're a whole community of people who take care of each other. The audience listened intently as Maya continued, her words carrying wisdom that belied her 10 years. The most important thing I've learned is that everyone has something to share, even if they don't think they do. Maybe it's a cookie, or a smile, or a story, or just listening when someone needs to talk. When we share what we have, even the smallest things become bigger than we ever imagined. She held up the book she had written, its cover decorated with a drawing of children from all different backgrounds sitting together under a large tree, sharing various foods and stories. This library is here because one person decided to share, and then another person decided to share back, and then more and more people decided to join in. That's how change happens. Not all at once, but one act of kindness at a time. As Maya began reading her story, her voice filling the beautiful new space with words of hope and generosity, Liam reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them all to this moment. 3 years ago, he had been a broken man sitting on a park bench, contemplating ending his life because he believed he had nothing left to offer the world. Now, surrounded by the tangible proof of what could be accomplished when people chose love over fear, generosity over greed, and connection over isolation, he understood that Maya's cookie had been more than just a snack, or even a kind gesture. It had been a seed, planted in the fertile ground of human compassion that had grown into something beautiful and lasting. The Maya Chen Foundation had helped thousands of families, the community center would serve countless more, and the ripple effects of kindness continued to spread in ways they would probably never fully know. But perhaps most importantly, Maya herself had grown into a young woman who understood that her greatest power lay not in what she could accumulate, but in what she chose to give away. As the celebration continued late into the evening, with children exploring their new library, while adults marveled at what one child's generosity had created, Maya found a quiet moment with Liam on the steps outside the building. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't given you that cookie?" she asked, her legs swinging as she sat beside him. Liam considered the question seriously. I think about it sometimes, he admitted. I was in a very dark place that day. Your kindness literally saved my life. But what if someone else had been kind to you? Would all this still have happened? It was a profound question from someone so young, and it made Liam think about the randomness and inevitability of human connection. I don't know, he said honestly. I'd like to think that kindness would have found me somehow, but I'm grateful it was your kindness specifically. You didn't just share your cookie with me, Maya. You shared your wisdom, your family, your way of seeing the world. That made all the difference." End quote. Maya nodded thoughtfully. Nina used to say that we're all connected, like threads in a big blanket. When you pull one thread, it affects all the others. I think that's what happened with us. I think you're right, Liam agreed. Your thread of kindness pulled on mine, and that pulled on your parents' threads, and my daughter's threads, and everyone at the foundation, and all the families we've helped. Now we're all part of the same beautiful blanket. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the last of the celebration guests, saying their goodbyes, and promising to return soon for the library's regular programs. Liam? Maya said eventually. Thank you for letting me share your thread. This has been the best adventure ever. Thank you for teaching me how to share mine, Liam replied. I never knew how much joy there was in giving until you showed me. As they finally stood to go inside, Maya paused and reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small wrapped package that looked familiar. I have something for you, she said, with a grin that reminded Liam of that first day in the park. It's not my last cookie this time either, but it's still made with love. Liam accepted the gift, with the same sense of wonder he had felt 3 years ago, understanding that some traditions were worth maintaining, not because they were necessary, but because they connected past and present, memory and hope. As he unwrapped Maya's cookie and took that first bite, surrounded by the community center that bore her name and embodied her values, Liam felt the same warmth in his chest that he had experienced on that autumn morning when a little girl's generosity had changed the course of his life. The cookie tasted like chocolate chips and vanilla, like home and family, like second chances and new beginnings. But most of all, it tasted like love. The secret ingredient that Maya had taught him was the most important element in any recipe for a meaningful life. And as Maya had learned from her Nai, and as she had taught everyone around her through her example, love was always better when shared.